stay calm. Just stay calm.
Moonshiners is one of the most intriguing shows out there, but how real is it? From official statements to cast members speaking out, y'all won't believe all the crazy behind-the-scenes secrets that have come out about this show. Moonshiners is all about the age-old tradition of moonshine making. They craft high-proof liquor while dodging the fuzz. Or do they? One thing is for sure, Moonshiners resides on the shadier side of the law. It isn't simply a run-of-the-mill documentary-style show, even though it tries to pretend to be. The show follows a familiar format, much like other series, each episode spinning a specific theme or storyline. Over the years, it has built quite the following. Thanks to its unique blend of documentary-style filmmaking and scripted drama, it slots into the docudrama category. But how real is this show actually? Each episode features a crew of moonshiners who come up with brand new means to brew their homemade hooch. Additionally, they are also seen dodging the law. That's because moonshining happens to be an offense in the United States. Some say the show is a masterpiece, while others suspect that it's not real at all. Now, reality TV has seen its fair share of side-eye moments, so let's address them and figure out if Moonshiners has any grade of authenticity left. The show set sail on December 6, 2011, and according to the producers, the original plan was to showcase legal moonshine. That's right, they were gonna follow all the rules, but that idea hit the rocks because, well, it wasn't as entertaining as watching the outlaw version, which again brings us to the question, are they crafting authentic moonshine, or is it all just an elaborate stage performance? Here's the deal, you can't taste TV, so you can't be sure. Maybe their law-evading tactic is to not involve booze at all, but if there is involvement of actual adult beverages, is that even legal? Producing and distributing moonshine without a permit is a big no-no, and the penalties are no joke. Those involved in moonshining could easily find themselves dealing with the feds, and apparently, the punishment could add up to a staggering 5 years behind bars, all for their moonshining escapades, or even for the mere possession of an unregistered still. Yet the stars of Moonshiners, including the ever-resourceful Mark and Digger, flaunt their illicit moonshine antics right before our very eyes. So, the question on everyone's lips is, how on earth do they manage to outsmart the long arm of the law? Is Moonshiners actually fake? If you believe that every moment on the show is the truth, you might want to sit down for this one. Back in 2011, a revelation from a spokeswoman for the Virginia Department of ABC gave us a shocking glimpse into the show's true nature. Understandably, viewers suspected that the local authorities were turning a blind eye to unlawful deeds for the sake of a television spectacle, but the spokeswoman spilled the beans in an email to the Associated Press, asserting that if illegal activity was actually taking place, the Virginia ABC Bureau of Law Enforcement would have taken action. Moonshine is outlawed because of its untaxed sales, but despite all the illegal brewing going on in the show, no one's been slapped with cuffs yet. Why? Well, maybe it's because it's all just reality TV magic. Now here's where the plot thickens. Apparently, local law enforcement in Virginia had, at one point, approached Discovery with a plea, put a disclaimer at the beginning of the show, a warning of sorts to point out that it is dramatized. But it appears that this humble request might have gotten lost somewhere along the way because the show marched on without a glitch, which might mean that the producers might have come to a mutual agreement with authorities. That being said, McGilla Entertainment, the production powerhouse pulling the strings, claims that the show actually is authentic. Tim Smith, one of the moonshiners gracing the screen, made a vicious claim. He boldly questioned, "How are you gonna arrest me for the moonshining I did 5 years ago? If you don't get this, let me explain. Remember Marvin Popcorn Sutton? He's a legend in the moonshine world. But here's the twist. The footage of him was real, but he'd already passed away by the time the cameras rolled." Tim also clarified that moonshiners take a lot of precautions, in case anyone had doubts. Reality shows that depict actual crimes have to tread very carefully. If a show knowingly puts people in harm's way, it can land in hot legal waters. Given that moonshiner stars are being compensated for their appearances, the producers could be held accountable if anyone was harmed by consuming illegal drinks produced for the show. Since the show is still on air, it's safe to assume that no genuine moonshine is gracing the Discovery Channel shelves. But even then, moonshining remains a big no-no in the United States. Federal law is pretty clear. You can brew beer and wine for personal consumption without a hitch, but when it comes to spirits, you better have a permit. While distilling spirits without permits is a no-no in the US, getting those permits isn't exactly mission impossible. Thanks to the show's publicity, the stars of Moonshiners could easily secure the necessary backing and go legit. Cast member Tim did just that, partnering with the Prost Beverage Company to market Climax brand moonshine nationwide. In other words, even if the show is authentically showing some real moonshine in action happening, it's because the makers are simply choosing not to get the correct permits. How smart of them the production house. Speaking of which, let's talk about Magilla Entertainment, the brains behind this operation. This New York-based company is known for their knack of scripting reality shows like nobody's business. Think of their other hits like Southie Rules, Long Island Medium, and Lakefront Bargain Hunt. Those aren't exactly the hallmarks of authenticity, right? But does that mean the characters in Moonshiners aren't real? While some Moonshiners fans might occasionally arch an eyebrow at the authenticity of the storylines, the characters themselves are real. Most of them, at least. Each Moonshiner brings their own unique background, personality, and approach to the show. Some are seasoned pros with a lifetime of experience, while others are newcomers. And here's a juicy twist. The show often throws in law enforcement officials hot on the trail of these Moonshiners.
Detective Robertson, he's still out of town, but he's not going to be gone long. We really like this site, but we can't let our guard down even though we are 3 counties away.
These enforcers, too, are usually real individuals. Some steadfast fans firmly believe that even the documentary segments on Moonshiners are fake. Reportedly, most of these people held licenses to sell drinks, yet the producers, allegedly, nudged them to set up covert moonshine operations in the woods, even dictating their dress choices to fit an outdated backwoods redneck good old boys stereotype. But there's more. Some of the cast members were apparently unwittingly thrust into the Moonshiner spotlight. Take Jesse Tate, for example, who's a law enforcement agent. He thought he was just participating in a documentary about moonshine history, not knowing that he'd be part of this intoxicating TV show. And if we know, then the authorities must know too, right? That they were tricked. How did they feel about this? Well, their statement clarified that Virginia ABC had agreed to participate in an informative piece about the history of moonshine and moonshine investigations in Virginia. However, they claimed ignorance about the show's allegedly false portrayal of moonshine production, distribution, and transportation. Had they known, they swore they wouldn't have touched that documentary with a 10-foot pole. To add another layer of intrigue, Jesse was later replaced by Chuck, a deputy sheriff, in subsequent seasons. Whether this changing of the guard was linked to Virginia ABC's stance remains another one of Moonshiner's secrets. So what's the verdict? Is the Moonshiners TV show a real deal documentary, or are we being bamboozled? Well, it's actually not quite clear. It seems like it's a cocktail of reality and fantasy. Either way, you can't deny that it's entertaining. But what do y'all think? Do you think Moonshiners is fake? Do you like the show? Let me know in the comments below.